It is interesting that now we've done, I guess, two movies from 1999.
Ah,
Um, I don't know, something to that. There is something about that like late 90s things, a lot of sci-fi. I feel like now there's also a resurgence to science fiction. Definitely getting
yeah, I
popular,
feel like it.
especially. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like especially, I mean, TV. I think TV is definitely has made the jump. Like
Yeah.
there's more science. It's no longer just Star Trek and a few other shows. There's like a variety of science fiction on TV.
Everybody should be watching The Expanse. It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it. I eventually I'll get to it. I watched the first season and it was meh, like it was okay.
Oh, you got to
Uh,
get to the second season. That's when it starts getting really good.
yeah, I know. So I have to do that. I'm watching the whatchamacallit, the Jerry Barry Jenkins, the
Ah, yeah.
Underground Railroad thing. It's only 10 episodes, I think. So I think I'm on the fourth or fifth. But so maybe when I finish watching that one, I'll try The Expanse. I just don't know how I want to commit to like multiple seasons. I think I might have to only give it the second one and see if it's good enough to continue. I
Well,
just yeah. Yeah, but the Underground Railroad, it's highly recommended. It's
Mm.
pretty intense.
What's that on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And yeah, it's like a gorgeous, gorgeous looking show, which I guess has it's funny because that show is basically he took the black experience, like the whole slavery period and slaves that are trying to escape, go to different states to try and survive. And he basically did a mix of the Holocaust. It's an allegory to the Holocaust in a way. It's like, hiding slaves and addicts and stuff, just like Anne Frank. And the music even, there's like the music is a mix between very like tonal, interesting, moody stuff, and essentially Schindler's List. Like it's just very, very Jewish. So they're gonna play off the whole Holocaust correlation there. So it's an interesting approach to the story, and it's just depressing more than anything else. Just the imagining the lives that these people had and just having nowhere to go or how to escape it. It's basically anywhere they go, it's just a different version of racism. It's like
Yeah.
even the people who don't own slaves or don't have slaves, they still treat them like shit. Or they castrate them so they don't have any more children because who wants black kids to infect the population?
Mm.
It's just bad, but not in the woke sort of sense. Like it's definitely
Yeah.
it's just showing it in all its brutality, but not in the 12 Years a Slave version. There's a little bit of that, but it's not like it's not violent for the sake of being violent. That's what I appreciate about it. 12 Years a Slave was basically Passion of the Christ with black people. Um, I'm very happy, and then
What?
yeah, pretty much. And not that Jesus was brown, so he was like partially black. But and then I felt like what was the other one? Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Django Unchained is really silly. It's well made. There's some really good scenes there, but it's avenge of the black people. Sort
Yeah.
of like how the Jews avenged the Nazis and
Yeah.
but he just
Those two movies definitely have a real connection to them, to each
yeah,
other.
but it's basically repeated the same joke, only it wasn't as good as Inglourious Basterds. Like we got the joke in Inglourious Basterds, and I think it was the better movie of the two, but then it was just like he repeated the same joke, just not as well. There's still some really good scenes in there, but it's just not as good.
I
But
swear I might be one of the only people in the world who likes Django a little bit better than Inglourious Basterds.
I mean, I'm not. It's a solid movie. The guy knows how to write. So it's moment to moment, scene to scene. There's very few people like him. I mean, as far as writing chops for movies
Neither
specifically.
of those two movies are anywhere near my top of Tarantino's films, but they're so easy to compare to one another because of their similarities and the fact that they came one right after the other and stuff like that. And just I don't know, whatever. But
I just
it was funny you said that because I was recently talking to another friend of mine, and I was talking about Django Unchained, and I made some comment or something like that, and he was surprised. He was like, "Oh no," he's like, I like Inglorious Bastards much better."
Yeah, the thing that always stuck out to me about Django was like the whole Odyssey, like infiltrating, Candyland and everything like that, makes no sense. I mean, you have to formulate this whole thing that eventually gets you Candy's ear in order to pay him an exorbitant amount of money anyway for a specific slave, and for some reason that makes more sense than just going up there. Hello, sir. I'm a German. I heard down the grapevine that you have a slave who speaks German.
Well,
I would like to
if
give
you
you an
take
exorbitant
the
amount of money for her.
I mean, you could argue that it's just paying lip service and it's not actually really properly explaining it. But I mean, in the scene where uh, Sam Jackson is explaining to DiCaprio like what their ruse was, and he's got him privately in the other room, and he's telling him what they did and how they're tricking him and stuff. He does say to him, he says he like DiCaprio says something like, "Why would they even do this?" And he says, "Because telling him that he was going to buy this other slave for a whole bunch of money made you very, very like welcoming and made you very eager to please him and so on and so forth and to be hospitable and to listen to him and so on and so forth." But he said, and then as he starts getting mad, DiCaprio's swearing about something, and he says, and Sam Jackson says something about like you wouldn't have even even listened to this guy. You wouldn't even have given him a moment of your time if he just wanted to spend a few $100s to buy some slave off you. Like he would have just brushed him off and said no and just never even spoken to him.
No, I get that, but
It's a little contrived.
I yeah. If Christoph Waltz knew that too, then why not just be like, okay, well, okay, I'll give you $5,000.
Yeah,
Like that's an exorbitant amount of money for a slave. That's a pain in your ass. Like,
yeah, yeah. Uh, I mean, I guess you could say that they wanted to have money too. No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that for me it boils down to not to go off too much, but I was gonna bring it back to
oh, I think we're well
Underground
off.
Railroad. But yes, but I was gonna say that for me, Bob, like it boils down to the pub scene, the
Yeah.
underground pub scene, and the opening scene of Inglourious Basterds. Those two alone, there's nothing that matches those two scenes in Django. And if all those if both those movies all boil down to just a few amazing scenes is what makes them, and not the whole, not the plot, not the story, not the themes, then I think Inglorious takes it for sure.
Yeah, if I definitely agree with what you're saying in general. I think that for me, when I think about Inglorious Bastards, I think about the sequences and the scenes that I love. I love that opening scene. I love that pub scene, and I love the scene with Christoph Waltz and the strudel or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
it is strudel, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and just and yeah, those scenes are so fantastic. For me, it like there's certain moments like I mean I've heard people kind of give their take on it, and I don't know. I have never liked Eli Roth's casting at all in that. I thought it was completely off. I've never understood why we're led to believe that Brad Pitt's character would be able to infiltrate the party in the way that he does. His like French is so bad and it's so obvious that he's American, and I think we're supposed to kind of look at that and laugh about how it's so obvious, and yet he's talking to Gestapo people and nobody like says anything, and I'm just kind of like, so distracted at that point because I'm like, what the heck is going on? And whatever. But so, like, I guess what I'm saying is when I think about Inglorious Bastards, I think about the moments more than anything else, the moments that I love about it so much. When I think about Django, I think of its problems too, because I think it does have some for sure. It has a number of problems. Neither one of them are I would put them in the bottom half of his movies, which isn't saying that much because all of his movies are so good. But I do like most of his other movies better than both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think I liked about Inglorious is that it was well aware that it was a joke movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it was apparent throughout the movie that it's basically this is all just for fun. We're just having fun with history. We're messing around, and we killed the Nazis and Hitler in the end, which is did not happen. So the movie is very aware of itself. But when he repeats the joke with Django takes itself a bit more seriously, and there's no historical characters. Like when he goes back to that concept, again, that concept works better for me in Once Upon a Time in
yeah.
Hollywood
Me too.
because again, he takes
I
that
like that
as
movie better than both of the other two.
yeah. I mean, I think Glorious and yeah, I'll say this like the definitely Once Upon a Time is definitely like more of a slow burn type of moody as far as like creating a world, especially a world that existed. I feel like he does it well with both all three movies, but obviously more so Inglorious and Once Upon a Time. But yeah, because it's a historical character, and honestly, I didn't know. Like I fucking didn't know. Like I was watching that movie and I didn't know he was gonna go there. I thought he was gonna do something else, but then I was like, this is the trilogy. He's completing the trilogy of like movies where he reinvents.
Rewriting history.
Yeah, it's just that it works more in Inglorious and Once Upon a
It
Time
absolutely
because
does
he
because it is
actually
history.
he does rewrite history
Yeah,
with Django. He's rewriting the history that he's created. Like we know where there were
right.
slaves, and this guy's avenging the what's done to slaves, but it's more like a metaphorical thing
Yeah, it's
because
like a generalized.
yeah, there's no actual historical. He doesn't go and kill like General Lee or whatever, one of the
Like
Confederates,
Jefferson Davis or
Jefferson Davis. So yeah, one of those people from
Yeah,
like the. So that's
it's
part
funny
of
we're
it.
talking about this. Did you guys happen to catch the not too long ago? Joe Rogan had Quentin Tarantino on his show, and they talked for like 3 hours.
I didn't catch that one yet.
It's totally worth listening to. It's excellent.
Yeah, I think I've stopped listening to Joe Rogan because he's on Spotify, but maybe I can. You have to have the
Oh,
subscription, right?
somebody uploaded that one onto YouTube. I don't ever.
Oh,
I don't really listen to Spotify that much. I probably should, but I find it frustrating. It doesn't like it messes with my computer sometimes when I try to use it.
I see. I guess I'll try to with the YouTube thing. But yeah, but just to finish the thought about like Underground Railroad is I was very happy to see that someone's trying to just have an honest telling of what it was like
Yeah.
to live in that period and be black. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good
You
way
didn't
to
feel that
approach
it
it.
was that kind of thing was covered under like with previous movies like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's definitely a cool approach and it's shot really well. It's basically like a 10-hour movie essentially. So
Is
it's
there
really
any
like
notable or household name actors?
yeah, there's I think one of the bigger ones is Joel Edgerton. What's his
Oh
face?
yeah.
Hmm.
He's got a pretty prominent role. He's kind of like a slave hunter in a way. Um,
Uh,
As far as the black actors, I think wisely, not that I'm too familiar with, a lot of actors, but I think they kind of purposefully chose less known actors
uh,
because then it's not Jamie Foxx being slave. It's
yeah.
just a slave. Like when it's not a celebrity, when it's just a really good actor, I feel like it's you can more easily just see them as just a person from that period.
Yeah.
And it's okay if the white guys are more familiar because if anything else, they tend to be more archetypes of people at that time. Yeah, like the slave hunter and but generally all the like, I think Joel Edgerton is the only one that's well known, and the rest of the cast is pretty unknown. There's Peter Mullen, I think he's sort of familiar. He's been
Up
in it.
until just a couple of years ago, I wouldn't even say that Joel Edgerton was very well known.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's there's some really good acting in there, and no, he definitely takes it to another level. The whole, not that I see that much TV, but I feel like he definitely takes the whole limited series thing to another level. So good for him for like giving it a shot. I'm sure he could have made another movie, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to see what he does next. But that said, I at this point I'm definitely I've gotten several recommendations for The Expanse, so I guess I apparently Jeff Bezos likes it enough that he saved it from being canceled just to keep it going. So I guess we should thank Jeff Bezos for like keeping The
Yeah.
Expanse going.
Thank you, Jeff.